Good morning. We're back for another session on scanning, spelled Sqanning. Scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. We're going to try to make these sessions shorter going forward, around 20 minutes or so. They're typically a half an hour, but we're going to try to make them brief from this point forward. We're going to review basically what scanning is and then touch on the practice of scanning. It's in a way almost more important that you understand the theory behind it. The practice you can do on your own, and we'll take less time up with that except for the fundamentals. So again, scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. Again, the history of it, years ago I read a book by Thaddeus Golis called The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment, in which he describes the universe as broken into two basic forces. Contraction, squeeze your hands together, and expansion, release. Contraction, squeeze your hands together, expansion, release. Take a deep breath. So, if those are the two basic functions of the universe, then everything in the universe can be categorized as either in a state of contraction or expansion. That includes our bodies, that includes everything that we see, hear, taste, touch, think about in the universe. Thought itself is a contraction, the bringing together of words and ideas to form a philosophy, political, religious, spiritual, or otherwise. So from the moment we're born, we are a contraction, the bringing together of cells, muscles, tendons, a soul, ideas, and we begin to build on that. We begin to build structures. Through contraction, we build structures that define us as human beings. Our name, our identity, our career, our profession, our feelings about things, our thoughts about things, our philosophies. So we spend a great deal of time in our life contracting, bringing together these ideas, forming careers, forming relationships, holding on to them, keeping it together. Now, because we spend so much time contracting, we can tend to get out of balance. An ideal state of existence is balance between contraction and expansion, because that's the nature of the universe, vacillations between contraction and expansion. When you become overly contracted and less expanded, eventually you become imploded, you become solid, as opposed to expansive, which is permeable. When you are solid, you are, to the extreme, you are resistant. You are solid in that you slam up against things as opposed to being able to move around them in a fluid manner. So scanning, I developed scanning for the purpose of bringing ourselves back into balance, from a contracted to a more expanded state until you are centered or balanced. And the way this is done in this technique is through muscular release. You expand through muscular release. The reason being, the muscles have two basic functions, contracting or releasing. The muscle can either contract, like make a fist, or let go of that fist. It can't do both at the same time. We use the muscles as a guide to bring ourselves into a more expanded state by releasing muscular tension. Now, we tend to walk around with a subconscious amount of tension. We tend to hold ourselves, keep ourselves together. When you release muscular tension, you move away from contraction into expansion. So in other words, squeeze your hands together, contraction, 3, 2, 1, release, expansion. You've just expanded. By letting go of muscular tension, you have physically expanded. And the reason that works as a guide is because that influences your entire being. Not just your physical, not just the physical aspect of your existence, but ultimately the mental. Because if you think about obsessive thought, worry, concerns, which is what a lot of us have to deal with on a regular basis, what is it? It's a holding on of ideas. It's an obsessive thinking about a problem or a worry or concern, obsessively thinking about the past or obsessively thinking about the future, trying to form a structure of sorts that makes sense of our world. The reason being, the motivation behind that being, if I can make sense of my world, I can feel safer, more secure, I can relax, I can be happier. The problem is that that very process is what will make you unhappy. The more you think, the more you obsess, the more contracted you become, the more rigid you become, the more you hold your breath, the more you keep it together, the less flexible you become, the less capable you are of moving, in a fluid and free way through life. So we want to use the muscles to induce a more expanded state. Now, how does that help the mind? How does that help the thinking process? Well, if you think of the brain as a muscle of sorts, what it does is it takes certain disparate ideas and it forms thoughts and philosophies and battle plans, plans of attack, strategies, and it keeps them together. So the brain is doing that. So as you begin to expand, as you begin to release muscular tension, that has an influence over your entire being, not just your physical being, but your mental being. If you think of the brain as a muscle, holding on to thoughts, it is influenced by that release of muscular tension. It too begins to release, and those thoughts which you've been holding on to, those structures of concern and worry and fretting and anxiety and so forth, also are free to float away because nothing's holding on to them. So again, we use the muscles not just to relax the body, but to relax the mind so that it can let go of worrisome thoughts and ideas until you are left in a state of nothingness. No thought, no worry, no mental constructs to tie you up in knots. Again, this is a temporary measure. We need to think about things. We need to strategize. We need to plan. We need to solve problems. But when you are overly contracted, you ultimately begin tying yourself up in knots until you are not thinking as effectively. And you'll find very often when you've done a scanning session that your mind will be clear and suddenly problems which seemed insurmountable are ultimately solvable. So again, bringing ourselves into balance from a contracted to an expanded state until you're centered. So take a deep breath. That's the philosophy behind scanning, and now we're going to talk about the technique. So again, I'll repeat it several times because the idea is that you begin to understand and incorporate this into your life. Scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. Primarily physical, as you release muscular tension. Physical, emotional, as you begin to let go of these thoughts you've been holding on to, so you're not worried so much and concerned and anxious. Physical, emotional, and mental calm, again, along the same lines. You become free. We do that through the release of muscular tension. Now, we started this session with the very simple technique of squeezing your hands together. Tight, 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 3, 2, 1, release, just so you can experience the contrast between contraction and expansion. That sense of release, 3, 2, 1, release, is the essence of scanning. That sensation of letting go, is scanning. So we use the muscles to incrementally let go. And we say incrementally because even the smallest amount of muscular release moves the dial. You can't contract and expand at the same time. So even the smallest expansion, you have to stop contracting and you begin expanding. You've moved yourself in the right direction. So never underestimate the power of a simple muscular release. Squeeze your hands again. 3, 2, 1, and release. Make a fist. 3, 2, 1, and release. And you can do this 100 times a day just to remind yourself the difference and begin to build a consciousness of where you are on that continuum. Am I more contracted mentally, physically, or am I more expanded? And how can I move the dial? But begin to understand the difference in how they feel. Squeeze 3, 2, 1, and release. See the difference? Effort, strain, restriction, contracting. 3, 2, 1, release. Openness, relaxation. No more energy expenditure, a state of stillness, quiet, peace. Begin to understand and feel the difference. And like I said, people will, the reason we drink and do, smoke dope or whatever is because we consciously or unconsciously crave expansion. And that's a chemical expansion. That's a way to induce expansion chemically. Scanning is a way to do it naturally with no side effects. Okay, so the basic practice of scanning involves moving through your body, concentrating on and focusing on where there is muscular tension, and then making a concerted effort to let go of even the smallest amount of that tension. So let's say, for example, you start with what I call the muscular zone of the face. 3, 2, 1, and release. Experience the tension that you may be carrying in your face, building an awareness of that, and then releasing that tension. 3, 2, 1, and release. And you move through the body. The 8 zones of the body that I work with are the face, the top of the head, the back of the head, and the neck. That's the first 4. 5 is the shoulders, letting them drop. 6 is what I call the band. That's the chest and the stomach and the back. 3, 2, 1, and release. That's zone 6. Zone 7 is the pelvic region, which typically, when you're contracted, has a sort of clenching sensation. 3, 2, 1, release. And zone 8 down the knees, across the legs, and into the feet. 3, 2, 1, and release. So we're going to cycle through these muscular zones, each time moving the dial incrementally a bit more, a bit more, a bit more, until you will discover that your body will no longer feel threatened by letting go, but will feel the pleasure of letting go and will give into it. It will consent, and you will reach a place of complete openness, stillness, expansion, awareness, calm, peace, permeability, amiability, flexibility, and calm. That's what you're moving for, from here to center. So let's move through the zones. The face, 3, 2, 1, and release. The top of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. Deep breath. Breaths are expansive by nature. Whenever you feel the impulse to take a breath, which should be more frequent when you begin to relax, take that breath, and also take the moment or two afterwards of stillness, because that is expansive. Stillness is a willingness to do nothing. Contraction is the concern that I must be doing something, taking action. So when you become still, you're expanding. The face, 3, 2, 1, and release. The top of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, we're using the release of muscular tension to bring our very being into an expanded state, physically, mentally. The back of the head, 3, 2, 1, and release. The neck, 3, 2, 1, and release. The shoulders, let them drop, 3, 2, 1, and release. That's zone 5. The chest, the stomach, the torso, including the back, 3, 2, 1, and release. Deep breath. The pelvis. Tune into whatever muscular tension you may be holding there. 3, 2, 1, and release. Down the legs, across the knees, and into the feet. 3, 2, 1, and release. Deep breath. Now, what I have discovered through this practice, and it's interesting, is that it's difficult, if not impossible, to be thinking or worrying about something mentally, visualizing something, putting sentences together in your mind, if you put your full concentration into the release of muscular tension. The more you concentrate on the release of muscular tension, the less capable your mind is of forming thoughts and ideas, plans, worries, concerns. So putting your focus completely into the musculature and the release of muscular tension will in effect clear your mind. In addition to relaxing your mind, which allows it to release those thoughts. If the mind is a muscle holding on to those thoughts, it lets them go and they float away. It also is a matter of concentration. You can't fully put your energy, your commitment into releasing a muscle somewhere in your body and be thinking about, what do I do to take care of my transmission? It just, one excludes the other. So again, the key is muscular release. It works on many different levels. It, as I said, it excludes thought, and it also moves your body into an expanded state, which influences the mind. And this can be done incrementally, small amounts. That's why this is such a simple technique to learn, because all you need to do is squeeze your hands together, 3, 2, 1, release. You've learned the technique. Take a deep breath. That's it. All this technique is releasing muscular tension, and you do it incrementally by moving through the body bit by bit and then cycling through it again and again and again until you begin to see that dial move in a significant manner. And when you've moved into an expanded state, you will know it. You'll feel it. Everything changes. You become calmer, your mind becomes clear, you feel still, you feel comfortable, you feel less afraid, you feel more open to whatever life may be sending your way. You feel more capable of dealing with whatever's right in front of you, whatever issues need to be dealt with, because you have cleared the desk. You have an open workspace. So things come to you unfiltered, undistorted. You can see things for what they are, and you can deal with them much more effectively. Okay, we're going to take this last minute. Again, we're trying to keep these sessions short to again reinforce the idea that scanning, Sqanning, made up word, but just to reference the idea of scanning the body for pockets of muscular tension. Scanning is the incremental release of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical, emotional, and mental calm. And the rule with scanning is this: the more you put into it, the more you will get out of it. If you can do 5 minutes of scanning a day, great. If you can do 15, 20, a half an hour, even better. If you can manage an hour of scanning a day, you will see your life improve in ways you never expected. Because as it becomes a part of your life, as letting go becomes just as much a part of your life as holding on to ideas or thoughts or worries, concerns, egos, careers, money, when you begin to discover that letting go is as much a part of your life as the other, contracting, you will see your life change. You will begin to look at things differently. You will begin to approach problems differently. When a situation arises that requires your attention or makes you tense or whatever, rather than habitually clenching, thinking, tensing, you will find there's another way to go. I can release. I can let go. I can relax. I can go to a place of nothingness. Now, that's counterintuitive because it seems like you're doing nothing about the problem. But in fact, what it does is it prepares you to deal with the problem. And you will be less stressed by problems because you will understand instinctively after practicing for a while that there's another way to go that's much more effective. You don't have to automatically tense up. You can, in fact, do the opposite and relax. Deep breath. And that is scanning. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. I'm happy to do a private session. But I always say to people, if we do a private session, I won't be talking much, not nearly as much as I do here, which is more instructional. The idea behind scanning is that the rule number one is don't talk about scanning, because again, talking is a form of contraction. What you want to do is just let go, let go, let go. And that's it. Best of luck to you. I'm going to try to do these sessions more frequently, but again, try to make this a part of your life. Keep a journal. Keep track of how many hours you actually spend in your day scanning. It's amazing how hard it is just to squeeze in a half an hour a day. That's how habitually contractive we are. We spend the majority of our day contracting. Try to infuse your day, your life, with the opposite, a bit of expansion. Take a deep breath. And that's it. See you next time. Bye-bye.